Porter, Malik, Mayhem, Montgomery. What's going on?
Good.
Obviously, that Crawford fight, man. Everybody had something to say, and your son came out and kind of stood by your side, so to speak. Didn't express any frustrations of the stoppage or post-fight. And, like when I bumped into you, I just said, man, you raised such a... Because I know I would have got upset. Obviously, I'm talking from the outside. I don't know the intimate things you guys know, but I'm just saying. I felt like, oh, wow, Shawn is such a good son. And I think you should be proud. I know it doesn't sound like a compliment, but it really is.
I've always been proud of my son, and it ain't just because of boxing. October 20th, 1987, he was born. I was his father. He was my son. That was it. November 20th, after that fight, I'm his father. He's my son. There's no more boxer-trainer situation going on. So.
Well, that's a good thing, because I guess some assume that could have ruined the relationship. So, as far as you know, you and Shawn are still A-okay, and he's not upset at you.
As far as I know.
Yeah, he's not upset at you.
I've seen Shawn. I was at his house this morning. I was at his house yesterday morning. He was about to have breakfast. He wanted me, hey, you want to go? And I was like, I got to do some work with Malik. So, everything's good from that standpoint. He's doing the family thing, which is something that he loves. He loves being a father. He loves being a husband. And him and the kids and the wife went to have breakfast.
So, obviously, the basis of this interview is to give you an opportunity to answer some of these internet allegations, right?
I don't know about the internet allegations.
I'm gonna give them to you. Of course,
I'm not taking them.
So you don't have to do the research. I bring them.
I'm not taking them. I'm not taking the internet allegations. Because first and foremost, anything that happened in that ring is my educated eyes that told me that's what was needed in that situation. So my educated eyes tell me that, because this is what I've done for over 30 years. Anybody who can make a decision or look outside from that, as I said in the press conference prior to, it's just their opinion. Doesn't make.
But what about some of these trainers that are coming out and they're like, if he banged on the floor, he still had enough fight in him?
I don't care what they thought. It means nothing to me. I can't tell them anything about their fighters. They certainly can't tell me anything about mine. The most intelligent man I know, most successful man in this business and any other business that I know.
I know what you're talking about now.
Said nobody knows his sheep better than the shepherd. And that's just the truth. So there's not one boxer that I could tell anything about himself or better about him than the trainer that trains him. I've been training that particular fighter all his life. I put a pair of gloves on him when he was 4 years old. That's 30 years of him wearing boxing gloves. So nobody knows better than me.
The assumption from most is that Shawn's now his own man, and Ken doesn't have his thumb under him, so he wasn't doing everything Ken wanted the way Ken wanted, so Ken stopped the fight.
Whatever the assumption is, I don't assume, because it makes an ass out of you and me, so I'm not assuming anything. Again, my eyes are trained. I don't go to a plumber's job, watch him clean shit out of the toilet and say, hey man, you're not doing a good job. I don't go to the construction site, stand over this guy when he's digging a ditch and say, hey man, you ain't digging a ditch good. I can't tell you nothing about anybody else's job. I know mine, I know it well, right? Shawn had 36 professional fights. 131, lost 4, got a draw. Malik is 11-0. My heavyweight's 10-0.
Heavyweight?
My heavyweight's 10-0. My 135-pounder is 8-0. Malik's brother is 3-0. My kid, Hendry Cedeno Martinez, is 4-0. Do the math. That's 36 wins and no losses. Shawn had 36 professional fights. I go from having a kid with 36 professional fights to having 5 kids with 36 professional wins and no losses. we're good.
So what's the name of the heavyweight?
That's a later date. I'm just doing the math. That's it.
How long you been training the heavyweight?
We got some time in.
Does he have a fight coming up? Because there's a card.
Everybody's got a fight coming up.
There's a big heavyweight card on the first in Hollywood.
No, we're not a part of that.
Okay.
The point I'm making is every time something ends, something starts.
Yes.
So
one door closes, another one opens.
there you go. And in this particular situation, I started reloading over a year ago with guys because it's what God wanted me to do. I've been blessed with Malik. I've been blessed with his brother Mikhail. We do things every day to be successful, and he's 11-0 with 10 knockouts. The heavyweight is 10-0. My other kid's 8-0. Got another kid 5-0. Do the math. That's 36 wins with no losses. So I'll take that trade-off.
Some people not only want, I am one of those guys because I don't think we'll find another Shawn Porter. Like I asked Paulie that. Let's start with that question first. Do you think we'll ever get that style again? Shawn Porter style?
Nah, you're not.
I don't think so either.
You're not gonna get it. It was developed before he was born, and it's developed by me. And in order for me to be able to implement that into somebody else, I have to start with them from scratch. There are some people that have some similarities and have some things that they do that, people are going to say, oh, he kind of fights like Shawn Porter. And if I'm involved with that guy, of course they're going to say that, People look at Malik and think he's related to us. If he takes that mask off, they look at him and say, you a Porter, aren't you? And he was fighting the way he fights all through the amateur system. And people just gonna do that. It happens, but I don't believe that. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't think so either, man.
It's not gonna happen.
And that was another thing, Obviously, people assume due to your post-fight and his two interviews, his being your sons, that his foot was out the door. But that's what he gave us. Even with you guys saying his foot was out the door, he still fought the same way on his last fight. And I just don't think we'll see that. Like, you normally see guys on the tail end of their career trying to be safety first. Now they're using the ring more, maybe boxing a little more. Like Shawn was still his style on his last fight, and I just don't see that. I mean, it reminds me of Margarito. Obviously, Shawn is nothing like a Margarito, but the consistency of his pressure is, if that makes sense. No, you think so?
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. As a trainer, his trainer, I have high expectations. And if I see things that don't look like what I've seen in the past, I got to make decisions based on what I know through my experience. And nobody knows better than me.
The $1 million question is, do you foresee Shawn coming back? And do you think he would come back with another trainer? A lot of people are saying that, like, I don't think he's done. I think he's retired because of the post-fight. He might come back under a new trainer, but he respects his dad too much to do that. That's what people are saying. They don't think that he'll branch off because of how close you guys are.
Part of that problem is that thing that you mentioned earlier.
Assuming.
Not the assuming. That's a good one too. Part of that problem is the style. The style, and he knows the style can't be taught. The strategy can't be taught by anybody else. He knows that. He told me a long time ago. Long time ago. We ain't talking about last week, last month, last year. We talking years. He told me years ago, if you're not training me, I'm not boxing.
Wow.
He's told me that more than once. These are his decisions. He made that decision. He didn't discuss it with me. He made that decision. Sometimes most of the time, guys that make that decision after the emotions that they have from taking that loss, calm down, think about it after a few days, few weeks, and then they start to realize they made the decision off the emotion and not based off of who they really are or what they can really do at this point in their career. If he makes that decision and it's his choice to come back again, and if he chooses to call me, I'm going to take the call because, you know, he is who he is to me. If he says, hey, I want this person or that person, I'm going to say,
live in 5 minutes.
go ahead with that.
5 minutes. Please turn
Good
on your
luck
cell
with
phones
that.
to
I hope that
silent.
work
Thank
out
you.
with you. Because, you know,
You'll
that's...
still be his manager, though, right? If he came back, you would still advise him career-wise.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things there that he could be doing, but, you know, those are his choices.